Uyghurs are Turkic and Muslim people who are native to East Turkestan. It's west part of China. We had prosperous states. We lived in independently more than 2,000 years. We had rich history. And we were invaded, occupied by communist China in 1949. And since then, we had to give up our arms. Our lands and properties were confiscated, jobs were taken. China basically trying to assimilate us and took our jobs, killed the livelihood of Uyghurs. Why China is doing this, like why they're committing genocide against Uyghurs? The assimilation of Uyghurs started a long time ago, since the occupation. However, since 1990s, when Soviet Union got separated, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and other nations, they got independent. And then China realized that this might happen to them because they never firmly owned us. Those lands are named for them. And they wanted to have more strict control. So CCP sees Uyghurs, their culture, their religion, their diversity, all of those as a threat. Because they want to have homogeneous one Han Chinese nation. They can't tolerate diversity, unfortunately. And also, our land is very important for China, for their geopolitical and economic ambitions. As you know, our land connects China to Europe and other parts of the world, so it's very important for their trade. That's why they want to control it so firm and so harsh. And also Secretary Xi, the President Xi himself, wanted to do this firm control on his term. So that's why he accelerated his goal was just eliminating all Uyghurs so they have one Han Chinese population. As you see in the map, it's very important for their trade. This oppression of Uyghurs before the genocide started was forced abortion, forced contraceptives, restrictions on Uyghur language in schools, so we were not able to speak our mother tongue in our schools, restrictions on Uyghur names that are Muslim or Turkic origin, because they wanted to separate us from our history, from our original identity, and our Muslim root. So even the names like Mohammed or Aisha and Fatma, they were banned. We were not able to name our kids. And also restrictions of any practice of religion. When we were in elementary school or middle school back home, I came to US in 2000 and I left my homeland in 1992. No one is allowed to fast at school, you're not allowed to pray. Only some old people used to be able to pray back then. Since I'm talking about before genocide, so I'm talking about 1990s and 2000. Also separation from the Turkic Muslim root. They were basically writing the history of Uyghurs, rewriting it and saying that we are not Turkic and we are not Muslim, really. Forced relocation of Uyghur girls was also in the past. They had policies to do that, to transfer some Uyghurs from East Turkestan to inner China so they can bring more migrated Han Chinese to our land to dilute the population. The life inside camps. Before I start to talk about the camps, let me tell you how this started. In 2016, we all got disconnected from our loved ones, our relatives, our families. There was no way of communication. When we called, they don't pick up. So we didn't know what was going on. And then our doctors, our professors, our writers, artists, our imams, they started to disappear. They've been arrested, detained, and we were wondering what's going on. Then Canadian researcher put up the satellite image of those camps. Then China, at the beginning, they were denying. after that images, he said, then China's Communist Party said, oh, those are vocational training schools. We are educating Uyghurs. And by time we started to hear about those camps, because some of the detainees were released, the lucky ones whose husband is foreign citizens, for example, a Pakistani citizen or a Kazakhstan citizen or Egyptian citizen, their husband worked hard and advocate for their release, and they were able to release, and we start hearing what is going on inside those camps. As you see on those photos, those are the bottom one, is one cell from the concentration camp. So inside those camps, there are political indoctrination, so constantly CCP propagandas, Xi Jinping's code you had to memorize, and you were basically being brainwashed. And torture if you don't obey them, sterilization, rape, forced labor, organ harvesting, separation of family and children, because when parents are taken to the detention camps, kids were also sent to state-run orphanages, boarding schools, kindergartens, while their parents are alive. And also deprivation of their identity, language, culture, and religion. Also, those Uyghurs in those camps were used as a testing zone for Chinese medicine, unknown medicines, and technological tools, their facial recognition or voice recognition and things like that. I want to talk about a little bit on organ harvesting. So in those camps, right next to the camps, they built crematorias. As Muslims, we like to be buried. We never believe in being cremated. However, we saw ads that they need 100 employees for those crematorias. And then later on, we learned every detainees before they, when they arrested and before they enter the camps, they go through full body scans, DNA checks, blood samples, X-rays. And China used very expensive machines to do that. Why? That raised the question of why they're investing this. So they built a big database of our DNA and everything is ready for organ harvesting. And they're advertising this as they can match any people's, like when they need organ, their DNAs in 48 hours, because they have a live people that they have the mass database. What's really sad is, unfortunately, Uyghurs are Muslim, so most of us don't drink, don't eat pork, so they advertise it as halal organs to the Islamic world, that they have halal organs. And some countries, because when they want to have a kidney or heart, they prefer halal organs, and that's how they were marketing us while we are alive. That photo on the top is at the airport. They have a fast lane that says in Chinese and Uyghur, fast lane for organ transplant. Imagine the scale of this organ harvesting. Like, you need a fast lane at the airport for this business. That's how sad it is. This is one photo of Dabanqing near Urumqi, the city I was born, in 2015 and 2018. That one concentration camp can hold 70,000 people, and there were more than 570 camps in East Turkestan. So we talked about camps. It's very small, dark rooms with no windows, no hygienes. They cannot go out for a bathroom. Everything is watched. Cameras on the top, 24/7. You're surveilled. Like they're watching you, monitor you. But outside the camp there is no big difference. People living outside the camp also lives like a surveillance state. It's like an open air prison. Because of the watchtowers and because of the cameras, every street, everywhere, they also monitor Uyghurs' life. They also go through surveillance state, life, forced sterilization, forced abortion, forced marriage. As many of you know, starting 1980s, China had one-child policy because they wanted to control their population. Because of that, they were doing abortion to the girls, and there were so many men because they wanted to continue their last name. So now they need a lot of brides for their bachelor, right? So they were giving, the government is sponsoring and giving incentive to marry Uyghur girls for Han Chinese. And Uyghurs, we are traditional, we want Muslim and Uyghur husband. Unfortunately, many of our girls had to force to marry communist Han Chinese, government cadres, to save their parents from the camps. If they say no, then their parents are taken to the concentration camps. Or if they're in the camps, they're afraid they will get killed, so they have to accept that. Look at that photo on the top. The wedding day is the happiest moment of our life, right? But that girl, you can see her sorrow, you can see her pain on her face. Other policies are like surveillance through official homestay policy. So basically government-sponsored Chinese brothers and sisters policy. So a stranger, a Chinese, comes to your house, stays with you for months, watch what you're doing, monitor what you're doing. Are you praying in the house? Are you saying something against the government? And documents everything and report this to the government. So this is very sad for us because if you can think of most of the men, the husband, they are in the camps, only a female and the kids are in the house, but strange man comes and stays in your house. You have to share everything, your food, your bed, your house, everything with them. And that is organized by your government. Separation of family and children, we talked about it. Forced labor transfers to inner China and China proper. And also elimination of their identity, language, culture, and religion. So if we look at the forced sterilization, the level of the sterilization they've been trying to do, control Uyghurs' population, the birth rate fell 60% from 2015 to 2018. So basically they're killing us before even we were born and trying to dilute our population when they are increasing. As I said, when those camps, when we were hearing about the camps, as a mother of two, I was very worried about the Uyghur children because they too are taken to the camps basically. It's state-run orphanages. This is an old data, it says 500,000, but right now around 900,000 kids are also taken to those state-run orphanages, boarding schools, and stripped away from their language, their culture, their religion, change their names, and they're basically raising, growing up as like a Han Chinese, like a subject, CCP subject. Forced labor is not just cheap labor. Most Uyghurs, especially the females, transfer from Urumqi or like our land, East Turkestan, to inner China. Yes, it is also for the labor, but what they are doing that, it's the one part of the genocide. When they are transferring young marriage-age women from our homeland to inner China, they're also stopping for ladies to give birth because they're so busy working and they're not married. And also, usually mother transfers their culture, their identity, their religion beliefs to the kids, but they're away from their kids, so they can't do that. So it's very complicated. China does this purposely to control the population and do the family separation. For the products that we use in the world, for example, cotton, 20% of the world's cotton and 80% of China's cotton comes out of our region with the forced labor. And besides that, the polysilicon of solar panels that the world use, auto parts, agriculture products, all those use Uyghur forced labor. They basically work as a slave labor with their tears and blood to produce those products, and those are, China is marketing those products in overseas. Uyghur culture, as I said, it's very rich, and architecture is very proud of our, rich history. It's beautiful, like architecture, as you see, but under the name of new developments, China is destroying those Uyghur houses, traditional houses, and like moving Uyghurs to the apartments, saying it's much safer, but it's also part of the genocide. And let's talk about religion now. Any religion, not just Islam, is considered as a threat for Chinese government because they don't believe in it and they think it's very dangerous. They treat Islam as disease, as cancer. Because they're really afraid when we have our faith, we are stronger. When we believe in Jannah, we can be hopeful, right? And we can get together like a community and we can do much more, and they're really afraid of that. And due to our faith, they really strictly restrict Islam. So if you're wearing a headscarf, or if you have a beard, or if you go to Hajj, those are the reasons you can be taken to the concentration camps. They try to ban any religion so they can have a strong control of the land. The destructions of mosques, as you see, 60% of our mosques were demolished and destroyed, and some were transferred to hotels, restaurants, and bars. So Uyghur people, they cannot fast, they cannot pray, they cannot transform and teach their kids their religion, and they try to do it secretly. For example, some Uyghur people are still fasting in their bathrooms because if they turn their lights on at night, Chinese police, they monitor, and when the lights are on in Ramadan, they come and get you. So poor people do their sahur, their iftar inside the bathroom. It's very sad how they're trying to hold on their religion because that's the only thing giving us hope. Those are the signs in the mosque. And some mosques still exist because those are like symbolic for the world that's saying, oh, we have mosques, we let them do, but we are not allowed to go. But when you are, visiting those mosques, those are the adhan. They basically rewriting the Quran, rewriting the message from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the one on the middle is tesbih. So when you use tesbih, these are the rules that Chinese government put as a sign on the wall. It says, instead of Subhanallah, Allahu Akbar, and Alhamdulillah, we're supposed to say, we thank and happy for Chinese Communist Party, we thank Xi Jinping. We're supposed to say that when we do tasbih. And that's the level of Islam, how they attack Islam in East Turkestan. And they're burning Qurans. If you have a Quran in your house or praying mat or scarves, you can be taken to the concentration camp. So those people are so afraid, they willingly give up and, Qurans and everything. And Chinese police, they bury those Qurans. If you remember 10, 15 years ago when the Denmark, I think it's a journalist in Denmark, artist, drew Prophet Muhammad's photo, and the whole world raised up. I was so proud of, Muslims. But right now, China is literally attacking Islam, changing Islam, and putting all those Uyghurs in the camps because they believe in Islam. But the world, especially the Muslim world, are still silent because of their government. Transnational repression is the other thing that we are dealing outside China. So like me, or those ladies you see here, when we speak up, there is a price for it. We get threatening messages. Basically, what China do is hold our family members back home as a hostage and control our action here. If you, tell about the truth, if you say this, we're going to take your parents, we're going to take your siblings. So most of us are very scared. We have that guilty feeling, if I speak up, that something is going to happen. If I don't, what am I going to do? So it's very hard. And also we get phone calls, like police calls, and trying to ask us, like they have the manpower and technology to do that to each one of us. So my parents, alhamdulillah, are here, my siblings are here, so I feel like I have more responsibility to speak up, so I'm not too scared. But many of my friends, they cannot ask a simple question of, where is my family? Is my parents alive? They can't, because they think something worse is going to happen if they do that, and they will regret all their life. Passport confiscation is another reason. Like all the students, Uyghur students overseas, when their passport expired, the Chinese embassy, they don't renew, and they say go back to mainland and get your passport expanded there, and when you go back you're arrested. Anyone who visits overseas consider also threat for China, because once you live overseas you know what is religious freedom, you know what's freedom of speech, you know democracy or other values, and when you go back they think you will tell and share those with other people, and then they can control their people. So that's why it's very serious. So what actions have been taken so far? Both Bush, Trump administration and Biden administration declared that what's going on is genocide. Also, U.S. passed two bills, the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act and Uyghur Forced Labor Protection Act in 2021. There were many sanctions imposed to government officials who started the genocide. There were visa restrictions, import-export controls, and many things have been taken. I would like to mention here some of the Muslim countries, they said America, because of their own incentives, or helping Uyghurs, or like this is a Western propaganda, America is exaggerating what's going on in China. The reason why it's more effective here in the US is because the Uyghurs near DC area, days and days, we knock every single door of Congress members. We wrote thousands of letters. We made thousands of phone calls. We basically slept in Capitol Hill to tell our stories with the real proof, the evidence. This is my mom, she's in the camp. This is my dad. We made them listen to us because we were Americans, we are citizens, and we are constituent, and they had the right to protect us and stand up for us. That's why there were some actions taken in the US. And after US declaration, also 9 other countries such as France or UK, they also declared this as a genocide. Recent UN reports also, even though they didn't clearly say genocide, it says crimes against humanity. And that crimes against humanity itself enough to hold China accountable for what's happening in China. So lastly, what can we do to stop this genocide? Obviously, we don't have power to close the camps right away, but what is very strong is we can raise awareness by spreading the word. So share this with your brothers and sisters, share this with your neighbor, with your coworker, tell them what's going on in China, educate them basically. Now you heard, you can't say I didn't know, right? You have the conscious. In our Quran, in our holy book, it says when there is an injustice, stand up for it. Our Quran says stay and take side with oppressed, not with the oppressor. We need to do something for our Muslim brothers because they are facing this genocide because of their identity and because of their religion. Also contact your Congress members, tell them you support the Uyghurs and you want your Congress members to be more active and support any Uyghur bills. Also write letter, call them. And another simple thing you can do is stop buying made in China product, very simple. You can buy made in US or from your country, and believe me, it's much more good quality and it's gonna last longer actually than the made in China product. So those are my presentation. What we demand is we ask our brothers and sisters, especially Muslim world, I think the normal people, they know, once they know that we are all human beings, we like to do something about it, but it's the government that is so strict, so contact your government, tell your government what's going on, because they're the ones who control the media, and they're the ones, some of the countries has dictatorship, some of the countries, they also scared. However, we need to tell the truth. The truth is on our side. We need to stay by the right side, and that's what we ask. Thank you so much. We're taking questions at the end. I think we're taking questions at the end. So I'm watching the agenda here. So our first speaker is Zumrat Dawood. She is one of the camp survivors. She was in those concentration camps, and because of her Pakistani husband, she was able to escape, and she will share her personal story.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mening ismim Zumrat Dawood. Men Sharq Turkiston Urumchi shahridan. Mening yo'ldoshim Pakistanlik, ham ashu Pakistanlik yo'ldoshimdan 3 balam bor.
I'll make a summary translation. Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Zumrat Dawood, and my husband is Pakistan citizen, and we have 3 kids.
Men 2018 yılı 3. ayının 31. günüsü ceza lagerine ilip getildim. Hem 62 gün ceza lagerda qamoqda qalındım.
All right, whatever you say. I was taken in February 2018 to the concentration camps, and I spent 62 days in those camps.
Mening 62 günden içinde sırtqı çıqalışımda mening yo'ldoshim meni izchil turda mening beguna qamoqxona qamalganligimni o'zining konsuli, ya'ni Beijingdagi Pakistan konsuliga uzluksiz holda arz qilish orqali beguna ayolimni Xitoy hukumat akirkatdi. Agar chiqarib bermasang xalqaro medialarga bu ishlaringni oshkorlayman deb besim ko'rsatganligi uchun 62 kunda qo'yib berildim.
I was lucky to escape because of my Pakistani husband. He constantly advocated for my release. He went to Pakistani government, he went to the embassy in Beijing, and he also told them that he's going to talk about this issue with the international media if I wasn't released, and he made a big deal again and again, and that's how I was able to release and left the Chinese concentration camp.
Albatta bu ta'lim hech kimga nisb bo'lmadi. Bu mening ta'lim bo'ldi. Men erkin dunyoda yashayolganligim, ham qechib keldim ishga, lekin mening xalqim yanada mushkul ichida, mening qarindoshlarim yanada mushkul ichida. Shunga men hozirga qadar xalqimning ovozi bo'lib keldim.
As I was lucky to escape, my brothers and sisters, my people, they still left behind. They are in those concentration camps, and as of today, they're still oppressed by the Chinese Communist Party.
Men 62 günlük hayatımni qisqagina sizlarga deb o'tay.
I will talk about my 62 days very shortly, briefly.
Saqchixonaga tutilgan kunim meni ashu saqchixonaning yer ostida xalqdan yig'ilingan Qur'on yerga tashlaqliq dugnagilik ashu bitdi. Ashu Xitoy saqchilari ashlardan otlab o'tib ashundaq bir zalning ichida, bir uyning ichida so'roq qilindim.
After I was arrested, I was taken to this building underground. It's like a basement, a dark room. But I also saw with my own eyes that there were Qurans and praying mats on the corner that they had no respect. They were like kicking and putting in the corners. I've seen that.
Nurg'un so'roq so'raldi. So'ralganlarning ichida meningdan so'ralgan savol shu: sen yo'ldoshing Pakistanlikka diniy dars oldingmi? Bolalaringni dinda tarbiyaladingmi? Chet elga chiqqan vaqtda bolalaringga Qur'ondan dars berdingmi? degandek.
I was questioned with many questions in the interrogation room. Main ones were: you went overseas, did you learn about Islam? Did you learn how to read Quran? Did you teach your religion to your kids? Those were the questions they asked me.
Mening 3 farzandim bor. Xitoy hukumatida 2dan ortiq farzand bo'lishga yo'l qo'ymaydi. Men 3-chi balani to'qqandimmi, Xitoy hökuməti mənə cərimani qoyğan. Şundaqdımı meni sən 3-cü farzandni muşu dini İslam boyunca köp farzandlik buluş savabı ya bo'lmasa dini İslamın boyunca 3-cü farzandlik boldummu deb şundaq suallar sordu.
Besides my religion, the other reason why I was arrested was because I had 3 kids. For Uyghurs, you cannot have more than 2 kids. So even though I paid the fine for the 3rd child, they still arrested me for that, having a kids, because they said that I followed Islamic values and, didn't do the abortion and kept the 3rd child.
Albatta, mening hech bir gunohim yo'q, holda meni lagerga atmadi.
Of course, I did nothing wrong. I was innocent there, but I was still taken to the concentration camps.
Lagerga elib berishdan doktorxonaga elib berib, mening bizning qon elib, ko'zning nurimizni elib, qo'limizdan barmoq DNA tekshirib, hatto betiq apparatda butun badanimizni tekshirib, hamma a'zoyim ish qilib, hamma narsamizni tekshirib, anadan keyin lagerga elib ketildim.
Before I was placed into my cells, I was taken to this hospital, and they did fingerprints, they did blood samples, they did iris scans, blood samples. Yeah, they basically did full body, like biological checked and X-rays, and then I was placed into my cell.
Kichikkina bir uyda 30 necha ayol birga yotdim. Hojatxonasim yo'q, faqat taratqachisi bor. Bir adam cho'ng kichik tarat qilsa, qolgan 30 necha ayol ko'rib turg'ul bo'ladi.
We stayed in a very small room with about 30 ladies, and that room you're not allowed to go out for a bathroom, so we have a bucket for all the bathroom needs, and everybody watches you besides the camera.
17 yaşdan 75 yaşgacha Uyghur ayollari bilan birga yotdim.
In my cell, there were ladies in the age of 17 to 75 years old.
Her kuni dori yigizatdi. 15 kunda bir qatam qon ilinatdi. Bir oyda bir qatam vaksina deb bukul birikimizga uqilardi.
We were given unknown medicine every day, and also give a blood sample every 15 days, and every month they were also giving us injection, but we don't know what is it for.
Bedellerimizde can deydigan narsa yo'qdi. Ish qilib, endi hesapda kallamizni kontrol qilgandek bir xil maz holatda yashadik.
We had no control over our bodies and no control on our mind. It's like we were like lost.
62 kun bo'lganda yo'lishimning shu tirishchanligi bilan balalarim bilan jam bo'ldim.
Because of my husband's constant war, constant fight, I was able to escape after 62 days of that life, and then I came to see my kids and went to my house.
Aptab kömügen qaranqu soğuq uyda 62 kun turib 6 aygachilik sudik tutamaz holatga kelib qoldim.
Because I stayed in that small room and no sunlight, and it was super cold, I got sick, and even after I left the concentration camp, until like for 6 months, I wasn't able to hold my bathroom needs.
Xitoy hukumatı yanıl rayim qilmadi. Yanıla meni yuqordan buyruq tushdi. Ko'p farzandlik 2 dan ortiq tuqqan ayollarni tug'maslik operatsiyasiga o'rinlashtirdik. Sen shuning ichida bor deb, shu sudik tutib olmagan, shu holatimda meni olib tug'maslik operatsiyasi qildi.
Chinese government didn't stop there. They also called me again for sterilization because I had 3 kids. I was still sick. However, they took me and forced me to do forced sterilization.
Operatsiya bo'lgan vaqtim 36 yosh, ya'ni mening tek farzandlik bo'lish qanmagan vaqtlarimda endi.
I was 36 years old. I was still productive as female. However, they didn't, give any mercy.
Biz ayol ishkilimiz bolalarni pek yaxshi ko'rardik. Bo'libmi bir o'g'il 2 qizim bor. Yana bir o'g'il bo'lishni shunchalik orzu qilardim, yana bir o'g'il tug'ishni.
My husband and I, we love kids. I have one son and two daughters, and one of my dream was to have another son.
Agar qo'shilmasak, yo'ldoshingni qartam qo'rib kirgazmaymiz Chinaga ishkinji. Agar yo'ldoshingni chiqarib o'tamiz, faqat bo'lmasa sinimi sirtga chiqarmaymiz dedim. Men 3 bola bilan shu yo'ldoshimsiz qilishni qo'rqib bo'pti deb arayalishimiz shuningga amal yo'q qo'shildik.
We had to agree and sign the paper, unfortunately, because they threatened us as my husband, they were going to deport him and they were not going to let me go outside China. So we had to sign the paper saying we are willingly, we're doing the sterilization.
Mana bu mening Amerikadan, doktorxonalardan olgan isbot.
When I first came to America and the USA, this is the report from my doctor that I was forcibly sterilized.
Bu davlatda yashag'il bo'lmaydi. Menga ozroq bo'lsa-mu fursat batdi. Shuning uchun men yo'ldoshimning davlatiga tuqqan yo'qlash uchun pasportlarimiz ta'tillangan bo'lsa-mu shulardan iltimos qilib, yo'ldoshimning davlatiga tuqqan yo'qlash uchun borman deb iltimos qilib pasportimni iltimos qilib Pokistonga bormoqchi iltimos qildik.
So our passports were confiscated, but we took every way and trying to get our passport back because I couldn't live there anymore. It was not safe, and I couldn't just continue my life.
Xitoy hukumatı faqat bir oylik ruxsat berdi. Qanchachaslar berib, qanchachaslar keldiganligini, hattoki saqchixonada va'dalarni ashunda qilib, menga bir oylik ruxsat berdi tuqqan yo'qlash uchun.
So when we applied, Chinese government gave me 1 month permission to go Pakistan to visit my relatives.
Balalarımni elib Pakistan'a keldim. Lekin men Pakistan'ni o'zimga shunchalik iliqi, bexatar his qilmadim. Chunki Pakistan bilan Jungoning do'stligi bek yaqin. Hatto saqchilar men mangandimi, Pokistondami ortiq harakatni qila olmaydiganligimni masalan, hukumatga qarshi yo qarshilik yo'q endi. O'ziningki maxfiyatlikni oshkorlamasligini, agar oshkorlasa, meni Pokistonda turib joylaydiganligini deb menga tahdid silib yo'lga solgan.
Before I left China, the Chinese police warned me and said that they have their long hand in Pakistan, they have control, they have good relationship, and they can even find me and bring me back. And I wasn't supposed to tell what I've been through, like what I saw in those camps. And they basically told me that I can go and come back without telling anything to anyone.
2016-yılı biz aile boyunca Amerika pasport vizaga iltimos qilib, vizamiz qabul bo'lib olgan. Pakistan'a kelib, o'zimni shu bexatar his qilganligim uchun men aile boyunca Amerikaga yenib keldim.
Around 2016, before I was taken to the camps, I had 10 years visa to USA. So I thought that is the only way out because I wasn't feeling safe in Pakistan. So we left Pakistan with our family.
Amerikaga kelgandan keyin bu yerdagi musulmonlarning qanchalik erkin, ozoda, bizning xalqimizning qanchalik qiyin ahvolda ekanligini bilib men Amerikadagi butun medialarga ham Amerika hukumatiga xalqim uchun guvohlik berdim.
So once I came to the US, I see how lucky people here, they can practice their religion, they can continue to teach their religion to kids. And I also realized that I cannot just keep everything to myself, so I had to give my testimony, I had to share the truth with the world. So I decided to talk to media.
2019 ayının ahırda men Birleşken Devletler Teşkilatı'da bizlik Uygurlarga bulunatkan irqiy qirg'inchilikqa isbot anglash yig'iniga taklif qilindim.
In 2019, I was invited to one of the UN event, and I was prepared to speak about China's genocide against Uyghur people and what I had experienced with evidences and proofs that I brought.
Men aşağı mangandla akamның təhdidini tapşırıb alğandım. Hatta akamның mənə dağıtqan gepini. Şu mening dadam saqchixanda әргіз qıvatqayşыңız toxtat degəndek. Men yana şu geplərgə qaramay guvalıq bəgəydim.
On my way to UN event, my brother called and told me that my dad was in the hand of Chinese police and I had to stop what I'm doing.
Xitoy meningdan o'ch oldi. Ya'ni 2019 ayning 12-si yana shu bir hafta 10 kundan keyin dadamning menga o'lim xabari keldi.
And I spoke at the event. After about 10 days, I received a call and I was told that my dad died.
Hatta Xitoy qo'shnim dadamning saqchiqanda o'lib ketganligini menga deb berdi.
My Chinese neighbor told me that my dad died at the hands of Chinese police.
Mening dadam haramga borgan, haji 5 vaqt namoz o'qiydigan bir isil insondir.
My dad used to pray 5 times a day and went to Hajj, Mecca too. He was really a nice man.
Bizning vatanda yillarcha bo'ldi, biz musulmon turib nikoh qilmaydi, namoz tushirilmaydi. Yangi tug'ilgan boboqlarning quloqlariga tek bir azonlar aytilmaydi. İnşallah dadamga jannat nasib qilsin, ham shahidlar qatoridan o'rin bersin.
In our homeland, it's been many years that we cannot do janazah for when someone passed away. The newborn babies, they don't hear adhan to their ears. But I hope my dad is in Jannah as shaheed.
En ahırda, thank you. En ahırda sizlerge ümidim şu, biz Uygurlar üçün nurgun başka dindikilermi bizge şunçilik yaxşı qirg'inchilik bo'layotganligini e'tirof qilib qilyapti. Sizlar musulmon, biz sizlar bilan Allohimiz bir, Ka'bamiz bir, dinimiz bir, payg'ambarimiz bir. Shu biz Uyg'urlarga har vaqt ovoz chiqarishlarni umid qilmayman. Rahmat.
At the end, I would like to ask each one of you that those are your Muslim brothers and sisters that are at the hand of Chinese Communist Party. Please pray for us. Please, ask from God to help us. Please do whatever you can and take an action so those people are not helpless or voiceless. Thank you so much. Our second speaker is Mihriel Tursun. Go ahead. And she's going to speak in English. We'll try.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, thanks for my Allah giving me the second chance for life. And now thanks for all sister and brother coming to hear, listen our Uyghur situation. Thank you so much. My name is Mihriel Tursun. I born in East Turkestan and study small school in my country and high school and university. I studied 10 years in China. After that, when I was 20 years old, I go to Egypt. Cairo, I study bachelor in Egypt. And after then, 2012, that time I met my husband. He is Egyptian in Egypt. We get married. So 2015, alhamdulillah, we have a triplet, 2 boys, 1 girl. Then I received phone call, my father, my mother, to come back to me to East Turkestan. They want to see my children because in my home is I am the one daughter. So, and as a Muslim, we have baby, we have parties, some party like that. So they are very exciting because this is my first baby. So when I have 25-year-old mom of triplet, it's good news, alhamdulillah. So when my kids become born 2 months old, I go back to my hometown, East Turkestan. So when I just arrived at the airport, the Chinese police asked me a lot of questions. Actually, we was in China, we cannot have hijab or long clothes, we cannot pray, anything. Of course, I don't have a lot of about Islam. I just know a lot of something about what is we are Islam. We cannot eat that, we can pray like that. But when I go to Egypt, of course, I can read in Quran, memorize Quran, and I understand everything about Islam. I start hijab, and then, but when I come to China airport, I take off my hijab because we cannot, in China law we cannot have hijab. So because of this reason, I take off my hijab even when I go to airport. Some police officer, they told me they want to ask some question from me. And airport, they take me to one room and they take from me to my triplet to another way. Then in airport, they ask me more than 3 hours, a lot of questions. Why I go to Egypt, who I know in Egypt, I study Islamic or what I am studying in Egypt, but I am doing a lot of questions. But in this 3 hours, I asked from police officer about where is my kids, because that time my kids is breastfeeding. They are hungry, they need to change diapers, they don't answer my question. After 3 hours later, one Chinese police coming, they are suddenly take my mouth, give my head black hole, and give my hand handcuff, take me to from airport. So I don't know where they are taking me. Even I want to ask or scream, I cannot do anything because they are already take my mouth. So when they push me to start very hard, want me to go to car because I cannot see, I fall down and then broken my nose, start coming with a lot of blood. I feel very pain, but nobody hear me, nobody know me. So after they take me to an Urumqi prison, I stayed here near to 3 months, more than 2 months. At that time, I don't know where is my parents. Nobody asked me, coming to me. Even I don't know where is my children. So in this time, I had a lot of questions from police. I get torture and have physical and psychological torture, of course. After 2 months, more than after that, they told me, the police officer told me they will give me the permanent time to go outside from prison. But of course, I am in the blacklist person. I cannot have, they take my ID, Chinese ID, my Chinese passport, and they take my cell phone. I cannot use any more cell phone. But of course, 24 hours, 2 Chinese men with me, looking me, watching me, where I'm going, what I'm doing. So when I go out from prison, I go to directly in my city children's hospital. So is there my parents waiting me, and then they show me in the hospital my 3 kids. My daughter name is Alina, and the son name is Moise. They both of them have from the neck. They make surgery, and their health condition taking oxygen. They have blood injection. I need to know what happened for my kids. I'm crying a lot, but nobody I can ask a question. Of course, I understand they don't answer because they are all Chinese. They are unrespect all Uyghur in our country. So after that, I asked my another son is Mohammed, and another police wanted me come to one room, the doctor. Then they give me something big ice cream. When I open, it's my son Mohammed. They take my son from freeze like ice cream. They say, this is your son, he dead, so you can go out from hospital. I'm screaming, I'm very shocked. I try to ask doctor, why, what happened, what you did them for my son. Nobody answer. Nobody even police don't want me cry. I just tell the people, please give me some blanket. I want to cover. I want to let him to wake up. I say, I'm sorry, my son. I cannot protect you. Please open your eyes. I tried to give him warm. He is not open his eyes. As mom, I was 25 years old. This is my first kids. I cannot protect them. I cannot take care of them. After they kick me, go outside from hospital, my father, mother tried to find in the city some qabra, like cemetery. put him. And before them, my father asked any masjid in our city to try, because in our Muslim somebody died, we gave them to put first masjid pray janazah. Police officer doesn't accept my son can go to any masjid pray janazah. Even I try to find any cemetery we can pay money qabr to put them. Police we can't find. Police cannot give us. So I take my son, Dad, but he was me 3 days in my home. It's very hard as mom. Even I cannot contact with my husband. I don't know how I explain this feeling, because as mom, all women can understand this feeling. After 3 days, finally my father find the one Uyghur room. Man, his mother has a qabr behind, can put my son. When we take my son there, the 3 Chinese police come with us. They cannot allow any people come into qabr, only my father, mother, and me. They watching us, and we cannot dua or we cannot do anything, just put them to qabr. We put them to qabr, I cry a lot, but it's very hard to how explain. Then after the same day, we go back our homeland, because my mom, father stay another city from, this is our capital city, to 2,500 miles far away. I take my one son Mars and Alina and with my parents and other 2 Chinese office police go back to my homeland. When we arrive to my homeland, again another way they take my father mother. I don't know what they are doing for my father mother. Again they take my son Mars and Alina to with me from me, and they take me to the camp. So from 25 to until 2018, my horrible life starts 3 years in my city, is Turkestan. In this 3 years, I total stay more than 13 months in this camp. And this 13 months, as they move me multiple 7 different camps, and I stay with multiple different women in this camp condition, very bad. I have my handcuff, and my feet also have clothes, some steel. We don't have shoes, and the inside camp over 13 months have any woman we cannot have shower, we cannot take shower, we cannot go outside. And every day and night is daytime is camp inside a little bit quiet, but in night is we listen, is camp inside very busy. A lot of police coming, take people, transmit, and have some men screaming, crying. They are tortured, of course, we know that. And every day, 3 or 4 women they take outside, and another new woman enter. But when they take the outside from the cell, this woman never come back. We don't know what happened for this woman. And the eyewitnesses in the 3 months is 9 women dead in my same cell. One of them 17-year-old girl, this 17-year-old life never ever go out from my small town. When I remember until now, when I was in prison, she very quietly asked me, "Sister, I heard somebody you go to Egypt." I say yes. She asked me, "How is Egypt? Do you go by horse or by bicycle or by training?" I say, "I go with airplane." She say, "How?" When I see airplane from down, very small, how you enter inside? It means this girl she don't know anything. But after 3 days, she died in this prison. She don't have anything wrong. She have only wrong because his brother go to Afghanistan, no come back. And she start wear scar hijab. She's wrong. She says she's in the cell more than 9 months. She says she want to go out one day. If she go outside one day, she want only full sleep or full eat. Because in this camp, we are never eat full. But after 3 days, she's dead. So in this have very horrible life in this camp. One day I lost my memory, and when I opened my eyes, I was in the hospital. Of course, in the hospital, two Chinese band with me. They handcuffed in my hand for the bed. After my health became better, then after 2 months later, they switched me to in my city another prison. That time is 2017 October. So they say, I give me one paper. They say they already, and at that time also they changed my prison clothes for orange color. And normally in China, all camp people have two colors, the blue and the orange color. The blue color is they can switch him sometimes, can using their organ, or sometimes you can take them for first labor camp. But for like me, orange color, this year I'm very special. It's very big, dangerous people. So they told me that I already gave death sentences. So, but they can give me 3 options for death, how I died, or I can choose give my organ for gift hospital, or I can choose medicine, or I can choose with gun shooting. So every gun shooting, one time shooting is 300 RMB. They must be shoot me 3 times, so I need to pay this money. But Alhamdulillah, this 2018 coming, in January coming, because of my daughter, my son is born in Egypt, and then my husband searched a lot of more than 3 years. Then Egyptian government and my husband coming to my hometown. And then, so because this reason, Chinese government released me as my 2 kids and my husband. But until now, Chinese government, they are now answer whole world. They didn't kill my son already alive. But as a mom, if your son alive, which one mom can say the word, my son dead? I have all proof documents with my hand, because I have my 3 kids, Egyptian passport until now in my hand. They have 2 sons go outside from China, and 1 son, Mohammed, they already entered for China but doesn't go outside this passport. But inshallah, when my document coming in the US, I will go to international court fighting with Chinese government. I don't know, sorry, because I have little confused. Yes, and then because this reason, 2018 April, I come with my husband and the 2 kids to Egypt, come back. When I just arrived to Egypt airport, the Egyptian government catch my husband. So because I am not Egyptian, I must be, including 20 days, go back China. If I don't go back China, Egypt government with Chinese government have good relationships, they don't want to have problem. So because of this reason, I try to contact with US embassy, and the US government helped me, Muaz, Alina, my 2 children and me, to come back US 2018, September. I am until now more than 4 years here, safety. But my father, mother, sister, brother from my family, 26 people until now doesn't have any information. I don't know they are dead or alive. And then because I have hard torture, I lost from my right ear hearing. And then they are doing surgery for me. I don't know until now I can have more baby or not. Also, my 2 kids, they are 7-year-old now. They are grown up without a father. And so I try to figure out that, but I don't know how. So until now, all Uyghur situation, like we have every world, all Uyghur, same like me and the sisters Zumrat. So we are become voice of all Uyghur. Please, we just tell the whole world, all Muslim sister and brother, become voice Uyghur, support Uyghur, and do any action, whatever you can. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum. Ben Tursunay Ziyavudun. Bugün Mişe kelgen qarindoshlarning hammasiga rahmat aytman.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Tursunay Ziyavudun, and first I want to thank everyone who's
Ben vatanimizning G'o'lji shahri Knas nayasidan bo'lman. Bugün bu yerda Xitayning biz Uyg'urlar qaragan vahshiylash jinoyatini men o'z ko'zim bilan ko'rgan, ham lagerda 1 yil yotgan bir lager shahid bo'lman. Bizning bu
I stayed in a concentration camps around 1 year, and I would like to share my own personal story with you that I witnessed myself.
Bizning bu hayotimizni so'zlash pek zirginishlik ham qo'rqinchli bo'lsin, faqat xayolimizdan chiqarib turgan bir narsa bo'lsin, lekin biz Xitoyning aldamchi, rezil Xitoyning shu jinoyatini butun dunyoga oshkorlash uchun ham musulmon qarindoshlarimizni butun dunyodagilarni bilish uchun mana hammaga berib so'zlab biz lagerdan chiqib hayot qutulib kelgan yoqmiz. Mana davomli quvonib beryapmiz.
It's not easy to talk about these things for us. However, we have to tell the world about, this Uyghur genocide, that how Chinese Communist Party is lying to the world and trying to cover up what they did. That's why we have to continue to tell the truth.
Men 2011 Qozog'istonga chiqqan, yo'ldoshim qozoq bo'lganligi uchun Qozog'istonda 5 yil turgan. Men 2017 qaytib berib, vatanga qaytib borgandan keyin Xitoylar tarafidan tutuldim, saqchilar tarafidan. 2017 ayda meni birinchi qitim lagerga kirib ketdi.
My husband was Kazakhstan citizen, so because of that I went to Kazakhstan and stayed there for about 5 years. And because I went overseas and stayed in Kazakhstan, when I returned to China, I was arrested in April 2018.
Men 2 qitim qamaldim. 2 qitim qamaldim. Birinchi qitim 2017 kirgan vaqtim 4-oydan 1,5 oy yotdim. O qitimda u yerning tomoqlarining sharoitini nacharligidan ularning majbur bizning dinimizdan kechish uchun cho'chqa go'shtini yegizib majburmish tomoqlarining aroqlarni ichkizganligi uchun u yerdan oshqozon yolg'ib men doktorxonaga chiqdim. 2018 3. ayning 10'unda yana chaqirdi men. Uning uchun men sirtda tutdim. 2018 3. ayda 2-chi qitim kirdim.
When I was taken to the concentration camp for the first time, I stayed there a couple of months. During those times, there was not enough food. Also, we were given pork. We were given mostly pork products and alcohol, and because of the malnutrition and all those not getting enough food, I got sick. I got stomach disease, and I was sent to hospital.
2-chi qitim berilganda u lager butunlay o'zgarib ketgan, rasmiy turmaga aylanib ketibdi. Uningchi baq qo'rqinchlikda eshikdan kirgandan tatbiqlab saqchilarning zulmni ochib boshqarishdi bo'ldi. Butun qurolli saqchi. Mening hayotimdagi eng bir qora do'zax kuni uni o'ylag'im kelmaydi.
Second time when I was arrested, the concentration camps has changed a lot. There were lots of armed police. There were so many people crowded, and those time is my darkest days, the worst part of my life that I don't want to remember.
Күнәс Наяның Еңімәлі деген ерге орнашқан лагерді. Şu күні мен 2-ci qitim bağın күні бәкчік ұйғырлағының қамаған күні. Bütün Күнәс Наяның 4 dadı qo'ng'ishlarning adamlarni 4 avtobus bilan kirgizib atdi. Men shu qatorda kirdim.
It was so crowded that it was only the Künes County Yenimahalle prison, the camp, and I entered with big crowd that 4 buses of people were arrested and detained with me.
Kirishimiz bizni birinchi kun kirganimda bir 4 metrlik uy qamidi 20 dak bir ayol bilan men bilan birga kirgan bir qeri ayol bir yoshroq qiz uchimiz birga kirdi. Ko'z oldimda shu qeri ayolni chashtirib shunchalik qiynab ketdi. O'ylag'im kelmaydi. Undan biz uyning ichida 1,5 oydak turdik. Lekin u birni qildigan yeri yo'q, kichik chelak qo'yib beradi bizga. Hatta og'zi yo'q, og'zini yeb pishni so'rasak shunda haqorat qilib ketdi saqchi. Hatta pokni aşılarını yegizmegen hoş bulunlar nemi sen onun ağzını yepişini soraysan dep.
We stayed in a very small room, and it was around 4 square feet, and around 20 ladies stayed in my cell, and there were very old ladies as well there. I felt very bad for them. As I said, the room was very dark and small, and there was a small bucket for our restroom needs. That bucket didn't even have a lid. And once when I asked the police to at least give a lid to cover it because it smelled so bad, I was told that you were lucky I didn't make you eat it.
Oldum bizge aşının işçilerim yani bir yürkep öyle bir zey soğuk simon diye. Lekin o yangi yurt kelganda işçide o bir nisbat, lekin o yerga kirgandan keyin bizge her kuni so'roq savol boshlandi. Har kuni tanho deb ochiqatdi, to'xtamay qizlarni uratdi. Hatto kelgan chaqda ba'zilari isini bilmay otishib sarang bo'lib keladi, ba'zilari kelib qansirab o'lib ketadi, ba'zilari yo'qolib ketadi, hatto kelmaydi. Men bir kuni so'roq savol chiqdim, 3 kun ash qo'yib. Sorry.
They then changed us to the different room. In that room, we were taken out for questioning. The new room was very cold as well. We were, during the questionnaire, during the interrogation, we were being hit, tortured, bitten. Sometimes some girls bleed. Sometimes some girls they come back and they don't even talk to anyone. It was very terrible.
Sonra sualdan keyin meni bir ular qarshilik qildim. Men qarshilik qilganim uchun bir Xitoy saqchidan qattiq tayoq yedim. Hatto qo'saqlarim polisning oyoqlari bilan tep urdi. Men ichimdan qon ketib, yiqilib ashad hudimni bilmay qolganda akab tashvatdi nimaga.
During those interrogation, once because I spoke back, I was bitten very hard and even kicked from my stomach multiple times by those police. Unfortunately, I fainted and they took me to another room because I was bleeding.
Xitoy saqchilari so'roq qilish jarayonida har qanday xalqni ochib o'z bilginchi xo'rlaydi. Har kuni kashlar qizlarni ochib ketadigan ishni qildi. Bular shu chog'da meni bir kiyimimda 21 yoshli qiz bilan olib chiqdi. Ko'z oldimda unutgan bu tok asfaltlar bilan ayollarni qiynaydigan ashtaqish qiladi.
I didn't know they were taking girls in the middle of the night, and I thought they were also being interrogated by being asked questions. Once they took me and another 20-year-old young girl in front of me. She was tortured. The Chinese police used electrical batons and hitting and even her private areas.
Göz aldımda bir yaşlı kızga baskınçılık kıldı.
They raped her right in front of my eyes.
Xitoy saqchilari tok asbab bilan meni qiynadi, o'xshashlar shu o'xshash. Men baskınçılık kıldı.
They tortured her with the electrical button, and unfortunately, I also went through the same thing.
Ayvan saqchilar hatta bizning ayollarni unda qiynab qo'ymaydi. Ayollar emas, erlarni muqvashchilar qiynaydi-ki, chunki men shundan keyin davomli hoshimdan kelib yiqildim. Shundan uchun doktorxona batdi. Meni doktorxonaga olib chiqadi. So'rab saqchilar shu chog'da men ko'zim bilan ko'rgan narsani deyimki, erlarning arzisi ashning ichidan nurg'un erlarni ko'rdim. Bu odatda biz ko'maymiz, erlar boshqa yotoqda yotadi.
I think I was bleeding. They took me out of that room. But this rape is not only for females, men were also getting raped. Once I was taken because I was bleeding so much, I was taken to the different part, and I see some men there too that they were tortured.
Мәжәді көнген әлләді бүтін әмізді чиқырап, сүйенбей вақырап атқан. Бәзілерінің қарсыңыз пұтларының мұшта құдыбырлық жаңдың кәгенде қандақ болып кетеді. Шында бүтін башмардақлар кесіліп кеткен аштақ алаттайлық қиынлап атқанын көріп, мен өзімнің ағырғынымды ұмытып қалдым, не болдым білмей қоқып кетіп, енімді апаған сақчы кетәйлі болды, мен ағырмадым, кетәйлі де үйріпті мен. Мұны аштақ алаттық ұланым ұрып қинайтты ке.
In that room, I saw some men in the opposite room, and there the men were screaming, yelling. Some were bleeding. Some of their nails were taken. I was so scared. It was like a scene of a war, like during the war. So I begged them to take me out. I said, "I'm not hurt. I don't want to stay here." And I told them to take me to another different place.
Ben bir yıl yatqaşqa ben o əmmini dep kəsamaşa tügetkisiz onu işidi köygen işlerim lekin biçimde ötken. İşinin məlum tırсын deyim geldi. Şuna dəycik dep udağım nemem yok. Bizden hatta çaşlarımızı meyadın bıraklık kesip etdi. Tüyoksuz onu mu sormaydı bizden nem yıkılışımızdı mı?
If I talk about every little thing, that's a lot because I stayed there 1 year, so I just told you the worst thing that happened to me. We didn't even have control of our own hair. They shaved our heads and shaved our hair.
Her bir günümüz onun içinde korkunçtu ötetti. Qaysı gün ölüp kalamız, qaysı gün qanda sorak çıkamız, qaçan açık uradı, açan her bir gün ölüknün çıkıp atqın onun içinde her bir ölüm, her bir sarang bolup qalgan adam yoqap ketkenini biz görüp turattık.
It's really scary. Every day we were just waiting for when we're going to die, waiting for our death. We were afraid we were called to be questioned, and unfortunately, I had to deal with this.
2018'nin ahiri 12 ayının 25'i men yolduşum Kazakistan'da turup man guvalık beripdi. Kazak grajdanı boğazga şu günü koyup berildim. Lekin menin enim, akam, enimdeki kızlar bütünlay onun içinde kaldı. Lekin ulanın erdirinin əmimiz türmüdüdü, əmimiz aş lagırladıdü. Ulan şu çağda.
In 2018, December 25th, I was released because my husband was a Kazakhstan citizen and he constantly advocated and worked and tried to release me, and that's how I was able to get out. But my older brother and my younger brother was in the same concentration camp.
Men hazırgıç ulanın nem boğunumu bilmeyme. Men mağdan enim akam çıktı. Çıkan bile akam ağırlıkçan bulup kaldı. Bir akam çıkıp lagerden keyin tügep ketdi.
I still don't know about their whereabouts. I don't know if they're alive or not. One of my brother was released from the camps but then died afterwards.
Men o kızlarning hiç qaysini hazır xabarini bilmeyme. Şoňa men Saqsalamat Kazakistan'a geldim. Ondan keyin Kazakistandan men yana Xitaydan hujumga uçurdum. Ne çıktım öýlerim ot goýup iltildi. Şondan Amerika hökümeti egi bolup müşak geldim. Hazır men ameliyat hayat yaşavatdım men. Lekin qarindaşlar bütün o ýakdyky Uygurlar, mana memnunlarning musulman qarindaşlary aşak azap tatyp her güni ölüp atydy. Xitayning basqınçylygy uçurap atydy. Qozqudyky balalaryny elip etip bardy. Xitay hökümeti mecbur 2 aylyk, 3 aylyk balalaryny aşat ağız üýtüdi. Muny mala uja tugmas kılmatydy. Ämmimizni hatta men mana Amerika aparas boldum. Aşanyň ýegen taýagnyň zärbisini men tugmas boldum.
Yes, I was able to escape to Kazakhstan, and from Kazakhstan I came to US. Now I do have the freedom, but I remember those ladies in my cell that, in the same cell. They're still there, they left there, and I feel very guilty even though I was out. And what I ask from you all is, please don't forget about your brothers and sisters. They're still being raped, they're still being tortured, they're still living in this condition. Some of them are dead. We have to do something.
Ammalar daydigan qarindaşlarym bugün demekçi onu Muhammed sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem peygamberimizden öz vaktinde mesela bütün açta kafirler bilen bunun peygamberimiz can kılgan çağda iş kılanmasan deptik ya iş kılanmasan karşı hareket kılanmasan mı şular bilen canga atlanmasan mı şular nefretini kıl deptik ya şuna demek yoğunun bütün kırındaşlar deydiğinin Müslüman kırındaşlarım Xitayga iş bulmaganda bir qo'llash ko'rsatmanglar hech bo'lmaganda Xitoyning mahsulotlarini olmanglar madan chaylar degan narsani olmanglar shu chog'da hech bo'lmasa bizga yordam qilgan bo'lsizlar Xitoyni uchrab bir desimi bir quvitibsanlar mandaq ish deb bo'lsin qarshilik bildirmasanglar danglar nafratinglar ko'zinglar bilan qarsanglar bizga yordam qilgan bo'lsizlar hammanglarga rahmat anglab berganlarga
What I ask from you guys are the same thing with other ladies, that we want our brothers and sisters abroad and in the world to help Uyghurs. Even in the past, when our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had hardship, other Muslims were together protecting him, and also in our religion there is a saying that if you can't stand up against injustice and if you can't do anything about it, then tell others about it, or if you can't do anything, don't do anything against, stay with the right side. So that's what I ask from you. Stop buying made in China product, stop taking China's side and tell the truth, stay with the truth. Thank you so much.
hammanglarga rahmat
Thank you again, everyone.
Bu dahi bizning beshimizdan o'tgan ig'ir sarguzashtlarning bir qismi. Agar haqiqiy Uyg'urlarning hozirgi qaysi holatda ekanligini bilmoqchi bo'lsanglar, to'g'ridan o'tinib qilay hammalardan, to'g'ridan tekshirib bir bilib beqishinglarni umid qilaman. Rahmat.
What we share is only our personal stories, and there's so many of those stories right now. If you want to know more, if you want to learn more about it, please go online, do your own research, do your own educational training, so you know what's really going on. What we talk about is a very small percent of what's going on. And thank you. So I think we are going to go for questions.
Thanks for everyone again attending this session. Again, I want to say that I pray that this never happens to. We pray this never no any human being should be on this shoe, but Uyghurs. May Allah make it easy for all of us. I just want to before going to go Q&A, I just want to I forgot to mention that that Alhamdulillah is beautiful. You have a big space, mashallah, and you have a very dynamic, energetic, community leaders. They were a big support of Uyghurs. So inshallah, I can see that may Allah bless this community. So yeah, anyone have a question? So can you raise your hand and respect?
Oh, I don't need that.
Oh, okay. You don't need that.
Okay, Mike. Well, this is a question and a comment. Okay.
Wait, maybe you want to use him just.
For the camera.
Yeah, people want to. Yeah.
Okay. My question and comment. You mentioned about like if somebody's from the U.S. and they had a passport, and I know you need to get a visa for China, and if you say if we go over there, we're a threat to the China government. Why?
Because I said that for Uyghurs, any Uyghurs who got education in other country, when they go back, they will talk to their relatives, they will talk to their friends, and they will talk about the freedom of speech, the democracy, talk about religion that they learn here, because it's like that. And they will spread this ideology. That's why they think it's a threat for them, for their stability.
So what you're saying is I'll be a threat to the
Yes,
China.
that's correct. There are Chinese civil police will be watching everyone who's coming from overseas.
And take my passport from me.
No, not from American citizen, of course. I'm talking about the Uyghurs who got education overseas and come back, and that they have family members, not for tourists. They want your money. They won't do that to you.
And my heart go out to you.
They will treat you very well.
No, they won't. My heart go out to all four of you, because when you guys mentioned about rape in the camps out that way, the same thing is happening here in the United States prisons for male and female. And the prisons here is another form of slavery. And it goes back to the 1600s. And just like people was coming from China to the U.S. back in the 1600s, it started from back then to them camps up to now, but it's the millennium stuff now. And it bothers me. So,
Same here. Everyone, every single one of us should have our dignity, and it should be respected. We should be free. Thank you.
and I'll keep you on my doers too.
Thank you.
Anybody else who has a question?
Just a question, not a question, but kind of a comment that, you know, we were in the Bay Area, our foundation hosted the UAA along with the 3 witnesses. And I lived through this testimony for 4 times, and it's been taking a lot of toll. It's not easy. And I wonder what kind of situation they're going through. And one thing I'd like to share is, the other day I was reading the story of Holocaust, and there's about 80 million Germans. When Hitler persuaded 80 million of them to hate Jews and blame Jews as the problem. And just think of it, in China, 1.2 billion people are persuaded, which means we were not the problem. Islam was a problem. So in the world where we're dealing with all the other issues, slavery in America, poverty in the US, war in Europe. But I think what scares me the most is 1.2 billion people. The way they're educated to hate, to only love the world, to only open arms for money, wealth, and power. And that's going to destroy us. This is not only a real problem. This is a problem of the world. In the US, when a group of people persuaded to hate other groups, we know what happened. We know what Trump did. I think this is the point I really want everyone to really think and share. Thank you.
Any?
I don't have any questions, but now that I'm hearing it, I do want to share. I'm a Uyghur too. Came to the United States in 2009. With another friend of mine. We were both studying science. Into the same trainings. He was from a different town. His name is Rusumjan Nurmanat. He was a pretty active guy, very happy, loves life. He did his PhD in biology in the University of Wyoming. In 2017, his wife and his daughter, because at the time, Xi Jinping came to power in 2012. He appointed the guy Chen Quanguo in 2017. 2016 for our, the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous East Turkestan, where we call it Mazarlan. And starting from 2017, this detention campaign of detaining more than 1 million Uyghurs started. And unfortunately, his wife and kid returned back around that time because we don't have knowledge of what's inside. And the baby was small, so their grandparents wants to take care of them a little bit. Give it back, and cannot return. And when he called back to his town to know their whereabouts, and the local police called them, do not say anything big to us. You come back here and then pick them up. Then we will speak. Otherwise, your parents, your daughter are in our hands. So he returned, got to work a little bit inside China, trying to get away from the getting into the system where he will be detained. But eventually he was detained in 2020. And I just heard that he was sentenced for 15 years in prison. He was trained here. He got his, he's not just any guy walking on the street. He was a very active guy. And now I think about the memories that I spent with him. And it just bleeds my heart that he's going to spend another 15 years or longer if he stays alive until then in the prison, in the concentration camp. I have my cousin. His name is Aliyah Quresh. If you know Arabic, Al means Al means public, and Yar means in Farsi, meaning Yar means somebody who's close to you. His name is Al-Yar. He was the son of my father's younger brother. We used to live together when I was 7 years old, when I was at my 4th age. We used to swim in the rivers. We were happy. He graduated college. At the year when he was 32 years old, he was detained in 2017. The only reason was he was walking on the street and his phone had some Arabic songs. And he got to be de-radicalized because he had some foreign songs that is not aligned with what China wants at that time. And since then, he's gone from anywhere. I don't know where he is. He's in the concentration camp. Whether he's sentenced, he's not out. Every time, if I have a chance to talk to my family, I ask them, how about the relatives? And they say they're still studying Chinese. But we know very well that they are in one of these concentration camps. And the sisters were speaking of the females and brothers and sisters were being tortured in this electric baton and being raped. Whenever I hear that, my heart bleeds again. Because my cousin, my brother, Al-Yar, he's probably going through the same thing. Well, the news for us, for you, it has probably been, right now, or you've been hearing it for the last 2 years, but for the last 5 years, we've been living in depression. First, starting from 2017, when scholars or neighbors being detained, or my friends being detained, we've been living in hell. And mental health. Every single day, my parents, my relatives, well, everybody's under this threat and danger. Thank you. This is not the one thing that most angers me. The first thing that the Muslim world, from bin Salman, the king of Saudi Arabia, goes to China, and for his trade deals, he says, please, he praised Xi Jinping's action. This is a great action for anti-terrorism. My millions of brothers and sisters, my cousin, they were innocent. They have an Arabic song in his phone and he got to be detained and maybe sentenced for 20 years for it. January 8th, China collected or asked, invited all those Ummah, Muslim leaders, scholars, influential scholars, to come to Urumqi, the capital city. They come around with all their, clothes, and there's a lot of staged images, making Uyghurs working happy, giving them an image that Uyghurs are fine here. Don't look, let's still do our business with the Muslim world. Let you guys go tell the Muslim world that Uyghurs are living fine. But we know in those camps, there are 359, as last I remember, 359 camps. Each of them can contain 10,000 Uyghurs, or Kazakhs, or Uzbeks. They were still living in hell. Now when they're inside the camp for too long, and that's for liability for the state, so they cannot just give them a little bit trashy food, they have to start to work. Now they changed that, converted to a forced labor in some of these camps. The ones who are surviving has to work. Yes, the hardship we are going through, mentally and psychologically and physically, our relatives are going through all this. All we ask from the Muslim community, Muslim brothers and sisters, is a sympathy, empathy. If you cannot help, at least understand our pain. We are human beings. We are Muslim too. Yep. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of anger in our hearts. Anger toward the Chinese state and the Xi Jinping that's doing those actions, horrendous anti-human actions, and the genocides. Right, our sisters has to go through operations to not having a child because our population is too much of a threat to them. And from our brothers and sisters from the Central Asian stand and the Middle Eastern countries, there's dead silence. Nobody cares. 1 million of us can die inside the concentration camp. Those are tough Muslims. They die in the concentration camp, but we are fine. And this is like a psychological experiment that happened on our heads for starting from the last 5 years. In the past, it was there, but it increased and pretty much exploded starting from 2017 when the detention started. And all of those sisters, whenever I hear them, this talk has been going on for multiple times. At the very least I can do is to attend and hear those cries and again because we are human beings. The least I can do is to sympathize it. Too much, but this is all.
Thank you so much for sharing that, shedding light of other aspects. I just want to add one more thing, how China handled the COVID as well. Communist Party is using every opportunity to kill us and decrease our number. Even during COVID, they had policy of lockdown, and when it's lockdown, it's not like US. Your doors are shut and chained from outside, that you cannot go out. Yes, they said they can deliver food if you can buy, but most Uyghurs, they're businessmen, a day-to-day, market, so they could only afford in certain time. The lockdown was more than 120 days. They were not allowed to go out. They were just stuck in their house, and if you don't have money, you don't have food. What Xi Jinping did is, camps are full, forced labor camps are full, everywhere is full. Then they turn out our own homes to our own prison. And you probably saw because Chinese people realize it's coming to them too. In November 24th, there was a fire in Urumqi, and Uyghur family's house was burning. Because of the lockdown, they couldn't escape. Because the fire exit was locked, they couldn't go out. And because streets were locked, a fire truck couldn't come and enter. And if you see the videos, they were like, they had water and they were pouring it, but it wasn't reaching the building. And that's why so many Uyghurs died. And Chinese people realized that it might happen to them because they were also locked down, even though it's a different, they can get food and a little more loose. That's why that, started. After the big protest, finally they opened it, and now it's totally opposite. There is no lockdown and there is no zero COVID policy. More questions?
I was told many years ago by a sister who was living in China that it is acceptable to be Muslim and practice Islam if you're not in Kyrgyzstan, if you're in other parts of China. But from the stories I'm getting tonight, I wonder if that's true. I don't know to what extent that's true. So I'm confused about that part. Whether you're allowed to practice Islam in any part of China, or if it's just, if it's purely like a territorial dispute which is causing the oppression, and they're just using Islam as the...
That depends on the year, because once Xi Jinping wanted to strengthen this One Belt, One Road initiatives, when it started, that's when he wanted to get firm control, and that's when he accelerated his work of ban on Islam. Before that, still, so the students or teachers, government employees, and regular people were not allowed. It was allowed for all people that you could go pray. And during, when I was a child, I'm talking about 20, 30 years ago, during Eid, you were allowed to go inside the mosque. But other part of China, because I didn't live there, I don't know, but from what I heard, it's also very limited, and some people with permission, with ID, you could go in. But with the recent genocide, that has changed. Anywhere in China, Islam is treated like a disease. Thank you.
Due to the time restriction, I know we are already over time. I know it can take days for us to just keep sharing the stories. Inshallah, we're gonna have another maybe sometime. We can arrange another session, all that. So I know there's another agenda, so I'm gonna pass the mic to the.
Thank you. So a few things we're gonna to move this on. You can hear me, right? Yeah. So afterwards, we're Farzam, you're saying you have some time. You guys gonna stick around. There is a table behind you with the Uyghur Foundation, and please, embrace these sisters. These are our heroes. They're multilingual. We have Urdu speakers, Arabic speakers, Kazakh speakers. Please engage with them, embrace them, sisters, especially. And I want to emphasize again, we have the barcodes on the back. Each chair you can scan, and then they'll take you to a link to donate to Uyghur Foundation. Donate generously and also continuously. Do a monthly donation. And we have a president of Uyghur American Association. Follow the organization and follow up on their action items as far as how to contact your legislature and put pressure on them. And we'll close with Imam Quran's dua. And afterwards, we have dinner outside. Please stay and eat with us. And we're going to be gifting our heroes here some gifts that we have from the community.
Thank you.
اللهم لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم لك الحمد يا رب العالمين. ولك الشكر يا رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم. اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم إنا عبيدك بنو عبيدك بنو إمائك نواصينا بيدك راض فينا حكمك عدل فينا قضاؤك نسألك بكل اسم ولد سميت به نفسك أنزلته في كتابك وعلمته أحدا من خلقك واستأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك أن تجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا. اللهم اجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا ونور صدورنا وجلاء أحزاننا وذهاب همومنا وغمومنا. اللهم ذكرنا منه ما نسينا وعلمنا منه ما جهلنا وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار على نحو الذي يرضيك عنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أذل الشرك والمشركين. اللهم أذل الشرك والمشركين وأذل الكفر والكافرين وأذل الظلم والظالمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر إخواننا في سوريا. اللهم انصر إخواننا في سوريا. اللهم انصر إخواننا في تركستان. اللهم انصرهم. اللهم انصرهم إخواننا في كل مكان يا رب. اللهم انصر إخواننا في كل مكان. اللهم انصرهم على عدوك وعدوهم يا رب العالمين. Allah, we call upon you, our Lord, maintainer and sustainer. Although we call upon you, we call upon you alone. Ya Allah, we call upon you with our hands raised before you like beggars, and you are the most enriched. We call upon you with our hands raised up in demonstration of our weakness, and you are the most powerful. We call upon you, O Allah, with our hearts broken and bleeding, and you are the one who heals. Oh Allah, we call upon you. We call upon you, presenting to you our challenges, our struggles. We call upon you, presenting to you the tears of our sisters and the blood of our brothers. We call upon you, Ya Allah, presenting to you the families that were broken and the children that were lost. We call upon you, presenting to you those who were forsaken by this dunya because they committed themselves to you. Ya Allah, we call upon you and we present to you everything that you already know so well. We call upon you, Ya Allah, in this way because this is how you taught our Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is how you taught him to call upon you, and this is how he taught us to call upon you. So we are calling upon you, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, in weakness that we feel, in this struggle that our brothers and sisters face, Ya Allah, do not let this go unaddressed. Do not let the call and the prayers of the oppressed go unanswered. Do not let our brothers and sisters struggling for their faith, struggling for their lives, let them not be forsaken. If the world forsakes them, then Ya Allah, let us not forsake them. Ya Allah, strengthen our shoulders that we may bear some of their burden. Strengthen our hearts so that we may bear some of their grief. And fill behind us resources, the winds of strength, so that we may work towards a resolution for their circumstances. You have given us so much, Ya Allah. You have enabled us so much, Ya Allah, and sometimes we find ourselves weak and lazy and lost. Ya Allah, you are the one who guides. You are the one who strengthens. You are the one who motivates, Ya Allah. Give us motivation to do what is right. Give us the strength to do whatever we can. And give us guidance to know what it is that we should do. Ya Allah, allow us to be a community, a true ummah that feels the pain of our brothers and sisters. But Ya Allah, do not let us only suffer the pain that we feel, but show us the way to alleviate this illness. Show us how this illness will be healed. Show us how this problem will be solved. Ya Allah, give us the courage to pursue whatever it is that is right and just and true. Give us the courage to pursue whatever it is that is the proper course of action that would be pleasing to you. The course of action that would be relieving to our brothers and sisters. Ya Allah, give us the courage to speak this truth and every other truth to every other person around us. Ya Allah, make us people that when we are tempted by the lies, that your fear enters our hearts. And when we speak the truth, your strength comes behind us. Ya Allah, for every soul that has suffered, for everyone that is suffering, Ya Allah, for the sake of those children who might suffer in this regard, Ya Allah, allow us to find ways to undo these knots of tyranny and oppression. Ya Allah, for those families who worry that Islam has been taken from their lives and from their families, Ya Allah, bring Islam back to them. And for those who have been taken because of their Islam, bring them back to their loved ones. Allah, we know that this world is a world of injustice, a world of weakness, and incomplete and faulty world, Ya Allah. For those who have already passed in this oppression, for those who have already lost their lives, Ya Allah, grant them access into the gardens of your paradise without Islam. Grant them access as shuhada. Do not even delay them the time that will take for judgment to be made. Ya Allah, grant them immediate access to your paradise. For those of the families and loved ones who are mourning and grieving for them, Ya Allah, give them glad tidings and good signs that they will be with their loved ones one day. Ya Allah, for our community that sometimes worries about the simple luxuries of life and whether the practice of our deen will inhibit it, Ya Allah. Make us a community that is bold and proud and strong in their faith. A community that is always presenting this deen of ours. Ya Allah, make us a people who are always advocates of your justice, your truth, your righteousness, Ya Allah. Lord, put Islam in our lineage until the end of time. Put Islam in our lineage until the end of times. Make our children a stronger generation than us, and make their children a stronger generation than them. Show us that from our lineage and from our communities, from our ummah, a stronger group of believers is rising, one that will promote what is good and right, one that will challenge all that is wrong and evil. Ya Allah, give us the honor of being among them in this life. And when this life is concluded, Ya Allah, next, grant us the shade of your throne. Grant us the banner of your deen. Grant us the company of the righteous and the pious, the prophets and the messengers, and the access into the gardens of your paradise, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, for those who are suffering oppression anywhere in the world, alleviate their oppression, hear their cry, and if in any way we would be capable, in any way we would be honored to be a tool in their relief, Ya Allah, please use us in that way. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون. سلام على المرسلين والحمد لله.